Welcome to Breaking Ice and Building Bridges from Possibilities. I'm Kelly Johnson.
And I'm Byron Jackson. Glad you're here.
Connecting a community through conversation.
Hello, and welcome back to Breaking Ice, Building Bridges. I'm Santiago Ramones, your host this time, and I'm joined by...
Roxie Beall.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
How do you find yourself at Possibilities?
I've been asking myself that for a few months, actually. I started here as an administrative assistant in May after I'd been looking for a job for a few months and not having much luck. And then this perfect alignment of possibilities showed up for me. And so I've been here since, like I said, mid-May. And I've been able to enjoy participating in the different possibilities programs. Mm-hmm. And the podcast workshop was one of them, one of the most recent that I got to enjoy. And so that's why I'm here today.
Yay. You have a background that I've actually been very curious about and I've gotten glimpses of. And so here's the opportunity to maybe get a little more glimpses of. But just to start, where are you from?
I'm originally from Oklahoma, but I've traveled around quite a bit. So I moved to Texas for a while, Wyoming for a while, New Hampshire for a while, and then I've done some traveling on my own too. So,
because you've done so much traveling, is there no place that feels like home or everywhere feels like home? How does that?
Yeah, that's a good question that I've been asking myself, actually. I've never really found a place that felt like home, but I've kind of been able to create home wherever I am. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of a gift that I enjoy. And I like variety. I like it different. So even when I do live someplace for so long, I find myself bored, or not even bored. I think after a while you start sleepwalking through life. Mm. And so the change of scenery always wakes me up again and gets me curious again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you gathered a sense of when that that sleepwalking sort of begins? It's maybe 2 years in, maybe I need to change of scenery or something.
Honestly, I think it comes from the 7-year itch. Have you ever heard that phrase? I actually researched it a couple of years ago because I've noticed usually I get antsy after a couple of years, but I'm also a Taurus rising. And so I think I tend to stay in places longer than I probably should. So I think probably 7 years is definitely my max. I like to move around, but I think every 2 or 3 would probably be more comfortable for me.
Sure. And so you mentioned having this ability to make home wherever you end up. Maybe not so much, I guess, that the question is, how do you do that? What are the ways in which you make a home wherever you end up?
Okay, so I know people make a home, but I've always traveled a lot. Moved around a lot when I was a kid too, so I was often leaving friends behind and moving away from family members and things like that. So I just got accustomed to finding ways to keep in touch with people. So I have people I keep in touch with all over the world. And so that's part of it, is just keeping in touch. And thankfully, technology these days makes it so much easier than handwriting letters like I did for years. But for me, it's just finding a way to be comfortable. I kind of tend to be very OCD. So wherever I have my stuff, I just unpack it and create it like a little sanctuary with whatever space I'm in, and just surround myself by things that I enjoy and things that I like and things that are comfortable. And
yeah. With so much travel, you've probably learned to kind of whittle down the few things that you're like, these are my essentials. What are some of the things that maybe took you a while to learn to let go of? And then what are the things that are the actual essentials?
the actual essentials are nothing. I have realized that, there's nothing essential that I absolutely have to take with me. The things I choose to take with me are usually like my tarot cards or my crystals, something that's small, that's travelable, that I can just, turn to for wisdom and guidance. And I usually always have paper and a pen with me for journaling, things like that. Obviously, my phone is a necessity. But everything else, I realized, so several years ago, in 2020, actually, I decided I wanted to downsize. So I bought an RV, or took out a loan on an RV, I should say. And downsized. And, instead of getting a storage unit, I just got rid of anything that would not fit into the RV.
Sure.
And I thought, at that point, I thought I was a minimalist before I started downsizing to the RV, because I don't keep a lot of stuff that I thought, but I got rid of a lot of stuff. And as I was getting rid of it, some of it was things that I had carried around and moved with me for like 30 years. Move after move after move. And I was going through the boxes thinking, what am I going to do with this? It's been sitting in a box for 30 years. So those were easy things to get rid of. I had things like old calendars that I had 10 years of old calendars I'd kept. I had a huge box of recipes that I kept telling myself I was going to organize one of these days. I finally threw it away, deciding, obviously, if I hadn't done it by now, I'm not going to. And with the internet, I can look anything up. So I guess the hardest things for me at that point were pieces of art that I had done, or that had been done by my daughter that I enjoyed. Those were harder to get rid of, but I was able to gift most of those to friends and family, so they're still around. The rest became easier. After my RV stint, I spent about 3 years in my RV, and then decided to downsize again so that I could travel to Thailand last winter. And so I had whittled everything down, literally got rid of everything that wouldn't fit in like 2.5 bags. And then as I was traveling in Thailand solo, I realized even 2.5 bags was too much stuff to haul around. So every place I went, I left a few more items and came home with like a backpack full of things. And that was it.
Yeah.
And realized even those things I was no longer even attached to.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting how, whenever you talked about like, oh, here's the things that I go to, the tarot cards and crystals and like pen and paper. And it's like, while maybe some of those things can be unique, right? You can kind of find a tarot deck wherever you end up. You can get a pen and paper anywhere. And so it's like, these are essential things, but they're not unique things.
Right.
And that's special, the ability to be able to get to that point.
It really is. It's very freeing. And I found even along my way, even the crystals that I had brought along, I ended up gifting to people that were special to me that I met along the way. So even those, I didn't come back with what I started with.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's this sense of permanence, or maybe the lack thereof, that is interesting in hearing about some of your journeys. That, you talk about some of the things that you had for 30 years, but then also you spent a winter in Thailand and you had these special connections with some people that you meet along the way. And so it's like the weight of what those connections are, whereas, the connections from maybe a 30-year relationship versus like, here's someone that I knew for a week and that was really special. So I guess, you seem to have a different sense of like gauging that value or the weight. And I don't really know if there's a question in that, but maybe just more kind of exploring what that means to you.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good point, especially when you talk about relationships, because I think the longer term relationships that I had, and not all of them, but many of them I had out of obligation.
Sure.
I mean, when we're young and we're taught to build, to get married or to, have family traditions. And there's certain things that we hold on to because we think we're supposed to. For example, like my yearbooks, my high school yearbooks, I did not enjoy high school. I mean, I enjoyed the work in high school, but I didn't enjoy the people so much. Sorry, peers. But I didn't. And I had, years full of yearbooks that I happily tossed because every time I opened them, they just reminded me of days of bullying or days of feeling inadequate, or they weren't happy memories is what I'm getting at. And so those were easy to let go of. And the older I get, the connections that I form now are more authentic. So for me, it's easy not to become attached to someone who does not align with my energy. But those who do align with my energy, I find that I bond and connect to very easily and very quickly. So many of those newer relationships are actually stronger than some of my oldest ones.
Yeah. Time
with exceptions.
Yeah. Time does not necessarily mean value.
No.
You have to put value into the time. So then how did you get to be the kind of person that is willing to let go of these things? And surely not everyone starts that way. So maybe give us a sense of what that journey has been of like maybe the kind of person that you were before as to how you became who you are now.
I was very much a control freak in my younger days and people pleaser, trying to please everyone and make everything perfect. And, that was so in like, I went back to school in 2014 as an adult to get with the goal to get my counseling degree. And then that journey did not stay aligned with what I really wanted to do. But it did help me to start looking at some things in my life that I was not happy with. And so I actually took different avenues to find some self-growth. I signed up with a wellness coach, which gave me some tools. I went to therapy throughout my life, which has given me tools. But really, it was just starting to look at the things. I guess I had taken some online courses too, and some of the things they were talking about, like do it messy and like seek out the things that make you happy. And that's not necessarily, people or money for me. And so letting go of the things that I was taught to pursue and pursuing the things that actually made me happy was kind of what led me through that journey. And so when I was getting rid of the calendars that I told you about, the 10 years of calendars, I went back through them like you do. You review things like when you go through the boxes. And I was looking at very full days on these calendars that I had written out. And none of the things I had written on the calendars brought me joy. None of them. I'm like, what? I was so busy doing stuff, but none of it was making me happy. And so I just started doing less stuff that I really didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And it was a practice. It was just something that I had to work on every day and do less and spend less time with people that were not making me happy and spend more time with people that did. And that was actually something that I heard in an online class that really helped. Instead of not doing something, it just said, do more of the things that you love to do. Yeah. And then there's less space for the things you don't want to do.
Yeah. Give me an example of something that you didn't like doing that you were doing a lot of, and then give me an example now of something that you really do enjoy doing and you're excited to keep doing.
So something that has always bothered me is the social convention of gift giving. And it's not that I don't like giving gifts. I do, but I don't like being told when I need to give a gift. And so the year I was evaluating the things I like and didn't like to do, one of the things I don't like is the reciprocity expected from gift giving. If someone gives you a gift, you're expected to give a gift, like that kind of thing. And so I decided that year I wasn't giving any gifts. I wasn't giving any birthday gifts or Christmas gifts or anything, except to my daughter. But everything else, I just decided I'm just going to give someone something out of the blue because I see something in the store that makes me think of them, and I'm going to give it to them. Yeah. And it was so freeing to say, oh, I don't have to participate in this. Just because people say you have to, you don't. And it was very freeing. So I enjoyed that. And honestly, the thing that I enjoy most is doing nothing. It really is. Like, I love sitting out in the morning on the porch and having coffee and watching the birds, watching the butterflies go by. And I really had to struggle against the it's not okay to rest, or, you have to always be hustling. You have to always be pursuing something. And that was a struggle to not feel guilty when I was doing nothing. Yeah. And it was funny in Thailand, I would go down to breakfast and have breakfast with the different other tourists and stuff. And there was this one woman from the UK. She was very nice. And every morning she asked me, oh, what are you doing today? Because I didn't do any of the touristy things. And I really just spent a lot of time at the hostel where I was at because it was out in the country and it was very peaceful. And I'm like, I'm doing nothing today. And the next day she's like, oh, what are you doing today? I'm like, I'm doing absolutely nothing today. And by the third day, she's like, let me guess, you're not doing anything today. I'm doing nothing today. So, yeah, that's what I like doing most.
Great. An empty calendar is a happy calendar.
Yes, it is. And when I put something on my calendar now, it's not out of obligation. It's because I really want to. Absolutely.
And so, of the things that you really want to do, you recently put on a women's. Describe it for me because I don't want to describe it inaccurately.
It was kind of like a women's empowerment event. The goal was to connect women back to themselves, back to each other, back to community. Yeah, and I think during my journey, I had a lot of that, trying to reconnect back to myself, and some of that starts with the physical body, and then you've got the things that. Like life purpose stuff that makes you excited, the things that you used to dream about doing that then society told you, oh, you're not good enough to do that or whatever. So just connecting people back to their authentic selves and what they really want, what they really want to say, what they really want to do.
Yeah. It takes a lot of energy to put a thing like that together. So since you don't do anything that you don't want to do, what did it take to put that thing on and make it happen?
Well, I did want to do that.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
That was easy. So for me, it's funny because I'm really very solitary. I like my alone time, but I really like connecting people to other people. So I know it's kind of contradictory, but for me, it's easy to reach out to people and get them involved in something that serves them. And so that was easy. It was just, I enjoyed doing that. I reached out to people, got them excited. They were excited. And then it was easy to connect good people to good people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the planning stuff that, my OCD loves that. So.
And you've done events like that before, right?
I've done a couple. They were really small events. So several years ago when I was back in school, probably 2016, this dream of hosting a women's conference appeared in my head. And it's something that I wanted to do, again, to encourage women and to uplift them and give them resources to connect to things that mattered. And it was always so big. This dream was so big. I couldn't wrap my head around it. And I saw this YouTube video of a marketer who only works with heart-centered businesses. And she had this video, Eliana Kali, Brands Are Alive is, I think, her YouTube channel. And she talks about the 130 method. And basically, I'm going to massacre this, so I don't want to explain it really well. But she suggested taking this big dream you have and breaking it down into like 10 smaller projects that you could actually accomplish within a year. Really small projects, like something you can do within 2 weeks and for less than $100 and get in front of like 10 ideal clients. And so I listed several things that I thought I could do with the talents and that were just small versions of this women's conference. And of course, money, resources, self-confidence in the fact that I could do it. These are all obstacles, but this was something smaller. I'm like, oh, I could do. At the time, I was living in my RV at a campground in New Hampshire. And I thought I could host it here at the campground. Just have a few women, just invite like 10 or 20 women, right? Have a few speakers, a few vendors. And so that's what I did. I executed it in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And it was very small, but the speakers that came, we didn't have a lot of outside people that actually attended, but the speakers that came were very happy to be networking with one another. And so I considered it a success, even though I did it messy. I did it really messy because it had rained the night before. The place I was going to have it was too muddy, so we had to move where the chairs were set up. So everything was behind schedule setting up. So that morning I had just thrown my hair up, gone out to wipe off chairs and dry everything off. And so people started arriving and I still wasn't completely set up. So the speakers and guests start helping me set up. I finally got started about 25 minutes late. And I kept thinking I'd have time to go back and change and, look presentable. No, I hadn't brushed my hair that day. I hadn't even brushed my teeth. I had a T-shirt on that said, peace, love, and light, and a little go F yourself. No bra. So that's how I greeted my first mini retreat of ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was fun. And doing it messy was definitely the way to go. People enjoyed the authenticity of it. I enjoyed myself. And so the next year they're like, we're going to do it again. And so we did it again with a new group of ladies because a lot of people were busy. But
yeah. So then, putting on an event in a completely different place now recently, I suppose the tools are the same, right? The ways in which you organize it, but different place and maybe some people that you had to connect with that you didn't know already. So how do you pull that off?
Well, I didn't know the ladies of the first retreat either. I just had a goal of what I wanted it to look like. And so I reached out to the wellness community, and that's kind of how I ended up with ladies. And the same thing happened the second year because I reached out to the original group of ladies who mostly had other things going on from the date I picked. So I reached out to other people that I just kind of Googled people that were in the area that did the things that aligned with what I liked. And that's how I did this one too.
Yeah.
I actually, lessons are learned each time. So there were things I did a little bit differently that, from mistakes I made previously. But yeah, it was good. The people that I reached out to this time, again, were just aligned. And when I was in the working world and had successes, I found that it worked best when you play with those who want to play. And so I reached out to several people that didn't respond or that it was too difficult to coordinate with. So I worked with the people that reached out and said, yes, I want to do this. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Which brings us to community and what Possibilities is all about. What does community mean to you, and how has that changed over time?
Yeah, so I think, as I mentioned, I'm a solitary soul, so I'm good with being alone, but I also know that people need community. They need that support. And for me, growing up in a single parent alcoholic home, I found support in churches, at Alateen, in groups that were out within the community. So as a kid, that was important to me because without those mentorships, I don't know where I would be today, honestly. So I just think that connecting with someone who can receive your story, can meet you where you are, and just help walk alongside you is really helpful. And it's one of the things I love about possibilities. Yeah.
So there's the idea of a podcast forming. You've written some things down. You don't have to worry about being super accurate in the way that you describe it now because all things are moving and changing. But what does it look like so far?
Well, I mean, it really aligns with what I think my life purpose is just to connect people to people. So my goal is the same for a podcast as it was for the women's event, just to connect people back to themselves and find that authentic voice within them that helps them to pursue the things that make them happy, like I've found on my journey. And that's what I'm hoping to do. I think a lot of people are marginalized in our society. And while I'm not like that outward protester, I am someone who wants to give voice to that. And I really believe it's not a divisive thing for me. It's not a taking sides thing. It's we're all human. And there's no question that love is not the answer to. And so I really think that being able to hear someone's story, their real story, it humanizes them to people. That's been my experience anyway. People can have all sorts of opinions on this or that type of person, stereotype or culture or race or whatever the dividing factor is. But once they hear that person's story, it's harder to hate them. It's harder. And the more you understand people, the more you have a connection to them too, because everyone's just the same. Yeah. And so that's the underlying goal of my podcast. Yeah.
Sorry to lean into it a little bit more, but you got a little emotional describing that. What in particular was coming to mind whenever you sort of felt that tugging at your heartstrings?
Honestly, I'm just a crier. I find I get emotional anytime I talk about something I'm passionate about. And it's not that I'm upset about anything. It's just, yeah. My emotions come up when I feel passionate about something. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you're so passionate about this next endeavor in whatever shape it takes form. And I'm glad that you're in this sphere of the possibilities thing, but also my personal sphere as well. Is there anything that you want to mention that hasn't been mentioned so far?
I will say that I'm excited about the whole podcast idea because I don't mind speaking to people, but I don't like seeing myself like on video. And so when this became a possibility, I'm like, oh, that actually really fits in with my own, like I have found that there are puzzle pieces throughout my life that fit together neatly now. And that's one of them. So this is an opportunity that is being gifted to me.
Yeah.
I appreciate what you bring to possibilities and what you bring to podcasting and just the heart that I've witnessed in you. I appreciate you and I appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this with me and with us. And I look forward to seeing the ways in which more people get to connect through this thing that we're doing.
Great. Thanks. Me too.
And for you, listener, thank you for being a part of Breaking Ice, Building Bridges. I've been your host, Santiago Ramones, with
Roxie Beall.
Thank you, and have a great time, day, whatever, until next time. I don't actually remember how to sign off on that podcast.
Connecting a community through conversation.
Breaking Ice, Building Bridges is the Possibilities community podcast platform. Thanks for tuning in.